The survivors would be buried where?
In South.
In Zimbabwe. Don't know because I've never been to Africa.
If a plane crashes by the border, and now they're wondering where can we bury the... You say, where do you think the survivors? Where do you think the survivors would be buried?
On the border?
Survivors would be buried.
Zimbabwe.
They'll be buried. Hello guys, this is your man CHAMU, representing AC Creations. We're all about bringing the best out of what we do. Today we're going to be going out in the streets and we're going to be asking some questions and doing some quiz. Not meaning that some people don't know, but how quick somebody can react towards a quiz or a question. So we're going to be going out in the streets and we do that. So please just don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us and like us on our Facebook page at AC Creations. You can also search us on YouTube at AC Creations. So we are to be found on those, you know, social blah 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 blah. So let's get in the streets and do it.
Thanks, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay,
it's nice to meet you guys. We're just doing some quiz. So I just wanted to know from you, like, if South Africa was in Africa, do you think, guys, you would survive?
It's already in Africa. What do you mean? We are surviving.
Okay, you got it on that. Yeah. Let's say between the border of South Africa and Zimbabwe, if a plane crashes there, where do you think the survivors would be buried?
What?
Wow.
South Africa.
The survivors would be buried where?
In South.
In Zimbabwe.
No, they'll be buried.
I mean,
They're survivors.
Yeah, they're survivors.
They've survived, so why would they be?
Why doesn't
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit.
Fine, thanks to you.
I'm good, I'm doing well. The plane crashes between the border of South Africa and Zimbabwe. You say, where do you think the survivors would be buried?
Zimbabwe.
They'll be buried in
Between
Zimbabwe.
South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Yeah, if a plane crashes there, where do you think the survivors would be buried?
Yo,
Zimbabwe.
Why Zimbabwe?
I think if you belong in South Africa, you are going to be buried in South Africa and then Zimbabwe.
As a survivor.
As a survivor.
If the survivor, where do you think the survivors will be buried?
Oh, the survivors, they
Where
can't
they
be buried
belong.
because
Where
they are
they
alive.
belong.
Where they belong.
Yes.
Yeah. So they'll be buried where they belong.
Yes.
Okay.
Hayi njani, how?
Of which kaloku hlala eNewbright is operation eNewbright.
Kaloku mamela uyabuza, if the survivors were buried.
They can't. They can't.
Okay, all right, ready?
If South Africa was in Africa, were you gonna survive?
If South Africa was in Africa,
Were you gonna survive?
where am I
South
gonna
Africa?
survive?
Yeah.
Nigga, that's your mama? Oh, hell no.
Africa was in Africa, you weren't gonna survive.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know.
You don't know.
Because I've never been in Africa.
But South Africa is in Africa.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If the plane crashes at the border of South Africa and Zimbabwe, where do you think the survivors would be buried?
At the border of Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe and South Africa, between the two countries, South Africa and Zimbabwe, where do you think the survivors will be buried?
Depending where the survivors were living. Maybe they're living in South Africa or Zimbabwe.
Okay, so you think maybe the survivors, like if there are 10 survivors, the ones who are from South Africa, they'll be buried in South Africa. The ones who are from Zimbabwe, they'll be buried in Zimbabwe. But they are survivors.
You can't bury survivors, Jay.
Hey, very well.
Now I'm good. My question for today is, if South Africa was in Africa, do you think, guys, you'd survive in Africa?
No.
What? I said we say no to drugs, nigga. Come again, say what?
If South Africa was in Africa,
No.
you wouldn't survive.
No.
So where is South Africa right now?
Sorry?
Where is South Africa right now?
Well, it's heading to the same path, unfortunately.
Some part of Africa.
Yes.
Okay.
Struggling to get where we need to go. Getting food supplies and stuff like that.
Africans doing?
Well, that's what we see most on the news and everything. Yes.
Of what is happening in Africa?
Yes, in Africa, Nigeria.
So, if South Africa was in Africa, you wouldn't be surviving in Africa.
Well, we are actually in Africa, to be precise. We are part of Africa.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're talking about like Nigeria or the other continents in Africa, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes. I get you on that. Well, my second question is, if a plane crashes between the border of South Africa and Zimbabwe, where would the survivors be buried?
Ooh, that's a trick question. It depends on who's going to come and fetch you to bury you.
Okay, if that's how you want to be.
I think normally if a plane crash, then it is a thing of if you're going to survive or not. So you might get burned wherever the plane crashed.
So the remains won't be found. So in this case, let's say the bodies are there, and we have survived. We have people, that are there. So where do you think these survivors will be buried?
Well, the thing is, like I said, it's a trick question, because I know that there are some people that believes in their traditions and believe that they want to fetch their loved ones and wants to bury them on their grounds. So yeah, it differs from person.
So these people, they would come and get their survivors and bury them
where they would like to bury them. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Out of respect.
Very much.
No problem.
Thank you for responding to our questions.
Thank you. No problem. Thanks.
Here's my first question, guys. If South Africa was in Africa, do you think South Africa was going to survive?
It is surviving as we speak.
So which means South Africa is already in Africa?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the capital city of Africa?
Man, Africa is a continent, man. No such.
Okay. Here's the third question. If a plane crashes between the border of Zimbabwe and South Africa, where do you think the survivors will be buried?
What did you say again?
If the plane crashes at the border
between Zimbabwe
and South Africa, where do you think the survivors will be buried?
I think South Africa.
Freeze.
I don't know.
It's easy. They will go back to Zimbabwe once the border is just here.
But how do you know that the survivors are from Zimbabwe?
This is Himalaya, man. This is easy.
Okay.
What is going to happen is,
I think where was the plane coming from? South Africa, so it's going to depend.
But my question is, how can you bury somebody who survived? How can you bury a survivor?
Oh, fuck it.
At least you got the other two, right?